Up until 2012, Halo was known for its two set of enemy factions, the Covenant and the Flood. But following the end of Halo 3, both of these were more or less defeated. This made room for something entirely new to the franchise. And seeing as a brand new studio had started working on Halo 4, it's not surprising they'd try to create their own enemy faction. The Prometheans were 343 Industries' baby, but not everyone was sold on their designs. While being their own thing and having their own backstory, the Prometheans were Forerunner, something the players were already familiar with during Bungie's games. But this wasn't obvious looking at not only the enemies themselves, but their weapons. So what if these designs were remade to fit the art style of the original trilogy? It's time to redesign Halo. Greetings, Vernissage here. In this episode of Redesigning Halo, we'll be taking a look at the Promethean weapons from Halo 4 and 5, and try turning them into something more reminiscent of the classic Forerunner aesthetic. Since the Forerunner arsenal was limited in the old games, to say the least, I'll have to look at different parts of the Forerunner society to come up with these new designs. To really make it familiar, crazy as it sounds, I'll be using Forerunner structures as inspiration for these designs. And before we begin, I want to make sure you know what to expect here. I knew right away that Prometheans had to be changed at a fundamental level, so I decided to remake these designs from scratch. Hence why some of these designs differ a lot from the source material. Without further ado, let's begin. The suppressor is the Promethean equivalent to an SMG, a fast-firing close-range firearm with one of the more simple designs. The fact that there's no stock gives the weapon a sort of barbaric and alien look. And as we'll see with all of these designs, it features a lot of orange lights, sort of like energy flowing through the weapon. As for my inspiration, it's honestly not worth bringing up different material for each redesign, seeing as it's all the same. As vague as it sounds, I'll be using everything Forerunner I can think of. The Sentinel beam emitter towers, the Halo rings themselves, you name it. And specifically for the suppressor, I knew I wanted to keep the overall silhouette, while making all the different angles more unified and controlled. So this is my redesign. The most notable change I've made is the decrease in details. I tried my best to keep all the shapes somewhat close to the original, just making them more prominent and easier to make out. I tried to limit myself to mostly 45-degree angles, but also throwing in something in between as well. I thought about changing the orange lights to blue lights, which is traditionally more Forerunner. But to honor the core idea 343 had with the Prometheans, I stuck with it. Instead, I made sure to include some small blue lights in the dark gray area. I wanted to honor the motherboard-esque design of the Forerunners, seen mostly in CE and 2. This, combined with the old metal, makes the weapon seem like it's been activated after 100,000 years of being dormant. And lastly, to honor the Forerunner interior design we see in Halo 3, I included these protruding hollow parts sticking out of the grip and in the bottom front part. The result is a fairly faithful redesign of the suppressor. While it's been heavily simplified, the parts which make the weapon what it is are still present. Every faction needs to have its go-to weapon when it comes to regular encounters. And in this case, it's the light rifle. This design is very agile. All angles are pointing towards the barrel, guiding your eyes to the front of the weapon. It's one of the more human looking designs, however, with a very familiar grip and scope. The orange energy in the light rifle is much more simplified than the suppressors. It's just a single beam along with a few small lights. When redesigning the light rifle, I knew I had to make it recognizable. I didn't want to lose the aura of the weapon. This is important because I was about to change quite a lot. I never thought the angles were accurate to how the Forerunners built their stuff. It wouldn't be this straight. I also wanted to give the grip more of an alien look, and not the very UNSC-ish vibe it has going for it. And this is my redesign. Like I said, the angles were my biggest issue with the original design. So I made sure to make them more 45-degree-ish, while still keeping most of the silhouette intact. I made the grip more slanted as well, to make it more unique and less familiar. The scope was also changed to be more angular and slim. I just thought this gave the whole design a much more sleek look. If you think about it, this redesign kinda looks like a Forerunner tower placed on its side. And that's exactly what I was going for. I wanted something that was clearly based on the light rifle, but still had that recognizable Bungie-esque Forerunner look to it, with a touch of 343's aesthetic. The angles of the redesign guides your eyes up and down, making this design more complex in a way. As a final touch, I added a circle towards the back of the weapon, to give it something other than just sharp corners. The result is a new take on the design. While it's much more angular and blocky, it still retains the parts necessary for the light rifle. It's time for the Promethean sniper, the binary rifle. While it has seen two different firing modes, the actual design hasn't changed much over the years. The most notable thing about this weapon is the size. This firearm is huge. In fact, it's nearly 2 meters long. The design resembles the light rifle quite a lot, only being a bit more blocky and detailed. What sets it apart, however, is the red lights. This change in color tells you about the power this weapon wields. Redesigning the binary rifle, there were quite a few things I wanted to completely overhaul. First off, the weapon is way too similar to the light rifle. Yes, you can spot the difference fairly easily, but to new players, this could be really confusing. I know it was for me. I also think it suffers from the same problem as the light rifle. The angles are way too subtle and straight. I really think it could use some more excitement in that area. And just like the light rifle, the grip had to look more alien. And this is what I came up with. If you're a fan of the original design, you're probably not gonna appreciate my take on it. What does return is the scope and the red lights. Other than that, it's very different. Like I said earlier, I wanted some more excitement in the design, more speed. And I feel like what I came up with pays tribute to the original design, while making it way more easy and fun to look at. Now, there's this challenge of distinguishing the binary rifle from the light rifle. And I feel like I kind of succeeded that. What the light rifle redesign was, in a way, leaning forward, the binary rifle is now leaning backwards, and it even has a quote-unquote underbite towards the front. I also kept the hollowed out part of the bottom of the barrel, and I actually exaggerated the red energy to make it stand out as much as possible. The final result is a more unique take on the binary rifle. While it's barely recognizable, I deem the changes necessary to make this otherwise interesting weapon stand out on the battlefield. The final weapon we'll be taking a look at in this video is the Scattershot. Continuing the trend of being an equivalent to human weapons, the Scattershot is clearly an alien shotgun. Probably the most notable feature of this design is the iron sight looking floaty bits. These are really the eye of the design, especially when viewed in first person. The weapon also features a sort of energy circle towards the back, sending energy to the front part of the gun. At the front, we can see these very interesting two elongated circles, giving the design a very intimidating look when being at the other end of the Scattershot. It also has this trigger looking part right below the iron sight. I don't know what it's for, but it's one of the standout features of the design. For the redesign of this weapon, I knew I wasn't going to change much. Love it or hate it, the Scattershot is way too iconic to completely revamp. So to keep the necessary parts of the design, I knew I'd include the iron sights, the two circles in the front, and the energy circle in the back. Something that's always bothered me in the design, surprise surprise, is how human the grip looks. It's way too curved and organic for it to be Forerunner, so I knew I had to do something about that. I also didn't like how smooth the bottom front part was, so I wanted to make it more sharp and metallic. And here's my design. I will say, this was definitely the most difficult weapon to redesign. Not only did I like the original, but the original was already quite alien and Forerunner. First thing I did, however, was making it more blocky. This did make the front part more beefy, so to combat this, I made it hollow towards the bottom. The grip was blockified, and was now way more Forerunner looking. To make it somewhat alien, I added a dark metal part from the grip to the stock, giving it the Halo 3 Forerunner interior design style I was talking about earlier. The circles in the front were a bit simplified, as was the energy circle in the back, which now sends two very distinct beams at the front. And I made sure to include the iron sights, mostly unchanged, since they're what makes the original design so iconic. The result is an alternative look for the Scattershot. I'm still torn on if I actually like it or not, but the changes made do make it a bit more classic Forerunner. And there we have it. Those were all the redesigns I came up with for this video. Let me know what you think of these designs. Did I succeed in making them fit the classic art style? Which one is your favorite? And there are some Promethean weapons I didn't redesign for this video, so let me know if you'd like to see those as well. And this is the part of the video where I show the stuff you guys have made with my designs. The _vegan_gamer on Instagram has started working on 3D models for some of my redesigns, such as the SMG and the battle rifle. They look way better than what I did in 2D, so go give him a follow. I Do What I Want on YouTube has made an appearance in my videos before, so you're probably aware of the great work he does. Since then, he's made even more of my redesigns, such as the sniper and the shotgun. Subscribe to him if you haven't already. And finally, Aiko Bishop from my Discord started working on some of my Halo Online helmet redesigns. And it's so much fun seeing you guys do stuff with my designs. A general shout out to the amazing people in my Discord. They're super creative, and they even come up with their own original designs for different parts of the Halo universe. So if you haven't joined yet, There's a link in the description. Go check it out. And keep these 3D models coming. I'm super impressed with the work you all do. I'll include them in this part of the next Redesigning Halo video. If you like this video, give it a like. If not, a dislike. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I wish you all the best, and take care. Redesign, out.